and my stories of dealing with ASIC is an extremely alarming one. On the morning of 5th of August 2021, 6 armed federal police officers wearing ballistics vests stormed my apartment. Had my fiancée not been leaving the apartment to go for a morning walk, and by chance opened the door and encountered the officers, I have no doubt they would have used a battering ram they carried to knock my door clean off its hinges. I was frisked despite still being in bed and presented with a warrant which outlined I was being investigated for insider trading stocks of these companies. These companies were in the very same companies Viceroy has whistleblown on 2 regulators, including Wirecard, Drinker, and Tyro. In Tyro's case, Viceroy had directly whistleblown to ASIC. During the execution of the search warrants, ASIC explicitly searched for and purposely took copies of Viceroy's entire cloud drive and my personal computer, and my phones were also physically seized. With all of mine and Viceroy's information in their possession, ASIC chose to compel me to attend a compulsory Section 19 interview where I was forced to answer all questions put to me. Prior to the interview, I was also informed that this Section 19 interview carried a gag order for 12 months. Mere weeks after receiving my data and a forced Section 19 interview, ASIC sent a no further action letter to my lawyer. This was almost 2 years ago. My lawyer has for the last 2 years engaged in correspondence with ASIC to determine whether or not ASIC has destroyed all my data it took from my home in 2021, forcefully. This is despite me never being charged with any crime, nor being under any active investigation by ASIC. To conduct an armed raid on the homes of innocent financial analysts, market pundits, or whistleblowers who raise questions of financial market fraud is harassment. To place those innocent individuals under gag orders for long periods while playing ducks and drakes about whether ASIC retains private data which they seize during armed raids is an egregious abuse of power and clear evidence, I feel, of gross misjudgment or corruption in ASIC as its role as market regulator. ASIC takes a borderline Orwellian approach to protecting public markets, which is to say that it silences critics with threats, allows frauds to fester, and creates a perception of safety in our markets. I can say this confidently because I know I'm not the only private citizen, fund manager, or research house who has been harassed by ASIC under the guise of regulatory investigation. There are many others, and some likely do not feel they have the courage to speak out about these ills for fear of further reprisal from ASIC at an unknown time in the future. So I put it to you, senators, that there's a very real possibility that ASIC is incapable, unwilling, or a dangerous mix of both to identify and prosecute corporate financial crime in Australia to any satisfactory degree. It further appears that they are either intentionally or ignorantly treating whistleblowers as criminals. At best, ASIC is an incompetent regulator at regulating public financial markets. At worst, I believe ASIC is a captured regulator.
Do you think there's a view about the role of short selling inside ASIC? Do you think ASIC has a view about
I think that there's a very, very obvious agenda ASIC has against short sellers, which has been widely propagated in its short selling guidelines. And these guidelines are sort of obscure and vague. And since they have been published, I haven't involved myself in any short-term activity in Australia and will recuse myself from doing so until there is some clarity on what I can and cannot do as a short seller in Australia. And during my Section 19 interview with ASIC, were very openly hostile to the fact that I was a short seller.
And do you think this is due to a lack of sophistication? What do you put it down to?
I'm not sure if it's a lack of sophistication or if this ASIC is seeking to actively protect Australian companies from short sellers, regardless of whether we may be right or wrong.